We're continuing where we left off. That's the methodology. We're reading about the civil disobedience bit with Henry David Thoreau. We're trying to conquer the town of Concord. Would they say that the town of Concord, half of American literature, came from one town? Are we going to go there? And so finally, can those who inflict violence? Here Thoreau turns to, quote, my civil neighbor, the tax collector, his old friend Sam Staples, and puts him on the spot, quote, if the tax gatherer or any other public officer asks me, as one has done, quote, what shall I do? My answer is, quote, if you really wish to do anything, resign your office. He's telling the tax collector to resign. Get a different job. Remember how Paul of the Bible was a tax collector? Did he ever resign? He must have. He resigned from the Roman Empire. Resign your office. Okay, when the subject has refused allegiance, then the officer has resigned his office and the revolution is accomplished. You recall that Sam Staples actually, who arrested him for not paying taxes, actually offered to pay the tax for him on his behalf, but he refused. Now the fork in the road is faced not by the citizen, but by the republic official in a position of authority, who in turn must make his own moral choice between two options: to enforce an unjust law or to resist it. He too must choose with his conscience as a human, not unconsciously as a cog in a machine. Here is Thoreau's most pointed injunction in an essay filled with them. Quote, if the injustice is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say, break the law. Let your life be a counter friction to stop the machine. What I have to do is to see, at any rate, that I do not lend myself to the wrong which I condemn. If you recall, he condemned the war against Mexico and enslaving black people and stealing land from Indians with the tax money. This is a guideline for the protesters in Hong Kong and Lebanon and Chile. So it's a current live event. The inventor who dreamed of wheels and gears knew how to build machines and how to break them too. Alcott had used his own life as counter-friction to the machine, and Thoreau had seen what it cost his family. Part of that cost was the fear implanted in all their neighbors, who, watching the Alcotts as well as Henry Thoreau, come to dread the consequences of even the mildest acts of civil disobedience. This, finally, was the point. Government is necessary, after all, not to inflict punishment upon such civil dissenters as Alcott and Thoreau, but to value them and to protect their right, along with the right of all citizens to live ethical lives. Well, they should have the right to live an ethical life. Thoreau ends by imagining...
Yes, on my point, I said the most important, the first human right is the right to be human.
The right to be human.
We forget it.
Thoreau ends by imagining a truly just state which can afford to be just to all men and to treat the individual with respect as a neighbor, which even would not think it inconsistent with its own repose. If a few were to live aloof from it, neither meddling with it nor embraced by it, quote, a state which bore this kind of fruit and suffered it to drop off as fast as it ripened would prepare the way for a still more perfect and glorious state, which also I have imagined but not yet anywhere seen. Here at the essay's end appears the utopian quote, better government. We're talking about his essay, The Civil Disobedience. Thoreau calls for, in his ending, one that would not merely tolerate, but actually bear fruit in such dissenters as Al-Qaeda himself, that would allow them to ripen and bear seed wild fruits, like those in the fields which he led the huckleberry pickers upon his release from jail. He went berry picking there after getting out of jail. Thoreau's essay thus suggests a range of possible actions, from his own huckleberry excursions and his mother's refusal to serve slave-grown sugar. Do you think we should refuse to eat sugar? Or just slave-grown sugar? Serve slave-grown sugar at her dinner table all the way to the heroic sacrifice of Christ himself, the ultimate martyr to the violence of the imperial state. The state was violent toward Christ himself, in a way. Few citizens are called upon to be or are capable of being martyrs, but some are.
Did you say that you laughed me? That's what I say. Follow my commandments.
Thoreau holds that when such heroic dissenters arise, they must be recognized not as madmen, but as the redeemers. The seeds of Thoreau's fierce public support for John Brown are already visible here, ready to germinate. Here, too, are the seeds of Thoreau's most remarkable innovation. Resistance means not just self-defense, defense of one's fellow citizens, or even of one's own nation, but the defense of all those lives entangled with our own slaves, upon whom labor, even free Massachusetts depended economically. Apparently, even Massachusetts depended economically upon slaves. Mexicans, the declared enemies of the state, and Indians, the declared enemies of civilization itself. Maybe the Indians were civilized and they weren't civilized. In terms of with nature, the Indians were more civilized.
They would protect living of all nature.
Remember, my theory was the Indians should be brought back as the park rangers. They could all become park rangers. They should study yoga and have yoga studios in the parks. But Thoreau was not finished even here. Life at Weldon Pond helped him understand how deeply humans are related to non-humans as well. Whether animals used for labor or food, trees used for lumber, wild fishes destroyed by dams and whole ecosystems, forest and river meadows. Wow. He considers them as well. In the same weeks, he was finishing the resistance to civil government. Thoreau put the final touches on A Week on the Concord and Merrimack Rivers. Quote, "Who hears the fishes when they cry?" He asked in his opening pages, quote, "It will not be forgotten by some memory that we were contemporaries," unquote. Their lives thrown into the hydraulic machinery of the Billerica Dam, armed with only the innocence and a just cause, were lost. But I, for one, am with thee, and who knows what may avail a crossbow against that Billerica Dam, extending one's ethical community to the non-human world was in 1850.
But they did dams.
Now they're Now they're realizing that dams have done a lot of damage.
Why did they do that?
Maine, Maine has a dam. They already had dams
It
there.
seems they are the oldest.
Well, they were able to make dams probably way back then. You just fill in place, right? Well, extending one's ethical community to the non-human world was in 1849 novel, shocking, and ridiculous. Do you think he was ridiculous?
Not at all.
But he was trying to defend fish and lumber.
He defended the natural way of life. I mean, things evolved like that.
But why defend trees and fishes when you can just kill them all?
Why they had to come major changes that will affect the lives of other species.
Well, he is like, in a way, he's an American saint or something. But Thoreau would give the rest of his life to this revolutionary insight. What he worked out in writing Resistance to Civil Government became not only the foundation of his political philosophy, but also the gateway to his environmental ethics.
You should not many people follow that move.
Well, it's quite common in ecology. We're really involved in ecology. We're reading about the civil disobedience from chapter 6 of we read from page 252 to 254, and chapter 6 of Henry David Thoreau, A Life by Laura Dassow. Anyways, so this is a guideline for, what is it, Lebanon, Hong Kong, Chile, the Kurds, Chile, Hong Kong, Venezuela. There's any more? Libya, Algeria, Burma. It's not named Burma anymore. Myanmar. It's for all the countries of the world. All of them. On resistance to civil government. I'm not resisting anything, am I? I just resist you. You're my resistance. Do you resist me?
On the one side, we don't eat meat, fish, eggs.
The way we practice, we actually practice what we preach a bit. We don't kill
we don't pay
fish.
Taxes.
Don't pay taxes?
Do we?
Well, we do. You have sales taxes, all kinds of taxes. You do pay taxes. Comply with the taxes.
We don't pay taxes to the IRS for like every year. Do you do your taxes? You don't do your taxes for so long.
I do my taxes. They're all done when you have to do the taxes.
You didn't do your taxes last year, the year before.
I didn't have to do taxes. I didn't make anything.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm going not to pay taxes.
My income from YouTube is so low. But anyways, we don't kill fishies and eat them. It's cruel. And we don't kill the dolphins while they're catching the tuna. We don't kill the dolphins that are along with the tuna. And we don't eat meat. And we don't kill eggs. And we don't take the eggs in. And then we don't work the cows to make milk. The slavery of cows. Even though you don't kill the cows, it's still slavery. Right? Who else is enslaved? And we send the taxes actually to the trees. Tree tax.